Hello and welcome to my first tier list. This one being the H8 tier list for Wonders and Leaders for 4 players. I like tier lists. I think they're one of the sort of most efficient way to learn something, to learn the basics. See a little bit like, oh, this is high, this is low. They're probably there for a reason, roughly. Of course, you're gonna miss out on a lot of context the further you go into the game, but I do feel like there's a lot of leaders that do fit into generally strong, universally strong, or strong, and you want to just try to make it work. If it's in A or S, and if it's in D and C, then it's just gonna be probably mediocre to weak. And probably even if you make it work, it will not be so good. So, and then I think B tier will be around where things might be strong but not so consistent, or they're quite consistent but just not very not that strong. Although that could also be C tier already. But the most appealing thing about the tier list for me is, well, for one, you can just like see in sort of like one second sort of what people's ideas are roughly, but on top of that, it's just a nice way to be able to talk about every single one of them. I think to add a little bit of context, I will talk like a little bit about my strategy in like 30 seconds, but if you want more, if you want like a full, I have like 1 hour video on how I play 4 player games, but in like 30 seconds, it's basically I play completely for economy in H1 to 2. I completely neglect culture if it doesn't bring me anything. Or yeah, basically I completely neglect culture. And military, I try to stay a bit relevant, but I'm not really one that pushes a lot. I just try to focus on the economy. Then in H2, other than just pushing my economy, I will also uh, get as many military techs as possible, and then I will have a very flexible H3 where I can war people. People will not war me, and other than that, I get great impacts with my economy. And if I don't draw a war, I can also uh, go for a late culture push with a nice wonder and a nice leader. So I'm trying to find heroes that leaders and wonders that can benefit my economy, and I don't really care too much about uh, yeah, or at all about wonders that give a lot of culture and not much else or anything else. Um, so that will be my playstyle. Of course, military is an important part. You do need military units. So if there are leaders and wonders that do that efficiently, I think they are also very strong, because yeah, military is just a part of your economy in a way. If your military is efficient, then it's just gonna add to having more resources for your actual economy. So with that in mind, let's go into it. And I think I want to do basically the strongest first, and then I go down, because I think that would make the most sense, because I do want to try to compare them as much as possible. And how I basically think about usually tier lists, or sort of how strong something is, I do try to compare them as much as possible. And the way to do that for me is usually I try to find a commonality, or like a way to translate their power into each other's sort of common resource. So, for example, we'll talk about Hammurabi first, spoiler alert, and then Confucius would be maybe the two strongest, maybe Boudica as well. But basically, these three you can compare them, and maybe we can also just put them here already. I think they're all three S tier. Um, Hammurabi gives you a civil action. Confucius gives you science, and Boudica can give you either a resource or two resources, or yeah, two rocks for military units. So we can see they all do at least one per turn, and you can translate a or sorry, a civil action. You can think about what you can actually do with this fifth action. And one things you can do with the action is, for example, when you have four actions, it's kind of difficult to maybe take a yellow card, even if it's only on one civil action. Now Hammurabi can do it, and maybe an H1 civil action, sorry, an H1 yellow card is something that can be like rich land, can be something like breakthrough, can be something like frugality, or something like reserves, scrolls for heritage, patriotism. And the bad ones there is basically it costs you two civil actions for two resources, and the good ones give you basically two resources. You even have, of course, the one for the wonders, which give you even more. So if you can use your civil action nicely, then you should at least get one resource out of it. And if you use it very nicely, you should get a two out of it. Because basically, if you use two civil actions to get a good yellow card, that's also possible. Or you can take one, or you can use one civil action to take a bad yellow card, like reserves. Let's say it means just that's sufficient, right? Um, so yeah, it should be between one and two. I would say maybe around 1.5. But then you do lose your military action, of course, which honestly is kind of hard to translate into like a resource. I'm not really sure, but I think there's like some added flexibility, like being able to go into a monarchy, doing a revolution, then having a civil action left because you can use your military action still as a civil action, and yeah, that makes you able to get out of corruption and do something high value with uh, that last civil action while getting into a monarchy is very strong. And then, yeah, just in general, being extremely flexible. If you really need something, I mean, you could even take it for three civil actions, but also often you can take something for two civil actions, and then uh, you take it. You want to build it. You want to make a worker. Then you also want to put the worker on it. Then that's already five civil actions. So this fifth civil action can be worth more than the fourth civil action in a way. In this example, in this example, um, the four civil actions you actually didn't put your guy on there yet, and the fifth one is the one that actually gives you the resource in a way. So yeah, I think the fifth resource is definitely worth more than, or sorry, the fifth civil action, even though it costs you a military action, I think it's worth more than one resource. And that's basically how I would do it. Like mostly thinking about the yellow cards, being able to take a yellow card, which gives you like two resources or at least one. So maybe it's 1.5, take a little bit away from military action, add a little bit from monarchy ideas and just the flexibility. And then I would come around maybe, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but in my mind it's maybe like 1.3 or something resource, which is mostly rocks usually, because things like frugality is a bit more difficult. Like breakthrough, it's like the resources get delayed one turn, of course, and also have a little bit of it's not free to like breakthrough. You do need to make something happen for to get the the res- the science in this case. Of course, Confucius also has a condition as well, so it's not like this one is also completely free. Although you can argue that this is also a benefit in itself because you can prepare non-event military cards, which is also very nice. So I don't even know if someone would tell me like I have Confucius that just gives me one science per turn, or I have this Confucius where you can prepare non-event military cards as events. I'm not even sure which one is stronger, so maybe he is just kind of like one science If he wouldn't have this part where you have to seed, then he wouldn't be able to be countered. But I think the fact that you can just push, uh, even if you don't have any events and you know what's gonna be in the event, you can also know that you're gonna have even more science later. It's just very strong. Confuse also will give you one science when he leaves the field, so he will basically get one science for every turn that he's in play, because the first turn he will not give you any science, but the last turn he will give you two science, from one from seeding and one from leaving the field. So this is just kind of this one science per turn is just incredibly strong. I think one science is also a little bit stronger than one rock, for example. So yeah, uh, they are almost as strong as each other, maybe, but I think this is just a little bit more flexibility. Then Boudica, similarly, you can just get one science. The big downside of Boudica is that she doesn't give you anything at the start of the first turn that you ever in play. So Confucius will be one ahead if they play the same amount of turns, and you get one science every turn. So that's why otherwise I think Boudica would be even stronger than Confucius, because you can also pick if you want a rock to maybe get a nice upgrade or something, or food to get a nice something out. And then similarly to Confucius, she also has a downside, which is actually question mark if it's actually a downside, because yeah, usually when you're in a situation when you're the weakest, you want to become stronger, unless it's really at the start of age A and there's like some Sun Tzu and Julius Caesar that are just being annoying, maybe Alexander the Great, that basically just passively give you strength without actually putting anything on the field. Then you don't actually want to put a warrior in. But let's think about it like this: like if you get a free warrior event, do you not take that? Well, of course you do. So if that's positive, okay, it does also not cost you a draw with the military action. But I think even if this happens for some reason, there's like some Julius Caesar Sun Tzu, or you're playing against maybe a little bit, yeah, maybe some lower level players. They like to make a lot of military basically from turn one. But yeah, basically on the higher levels, yeah, even if it's bad, it's still fine. And then if it's not this case, but it's actually like people actually starting to build military, and you have to keep it in mind that you can use it, right? So you have to set it up a little bit, maybe with having enough, having basically a free worker. But that said, two rocks when you're weakest, I think it's a benefit. Everything together, you can, yeah, basically keep this Boudica around till very late H1, get a transitional leader, and you can use her to yeah, just get some 2 resources per turn, which is, yeah, not doing worse than H1 leader, basically. Like, compare this to, for example, a good Da Vinci, which gives you one science and one rock. Now that's a very good H1 leader if you get that. Now this can give you like some 2 rocks a few times. So it's very strong. So I think this 2 rock passive thing, I feel like some people think it's bad. I feel like it's good. But maybe they do think it's good. I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like I've heard some negative things about it. Um, yeah. So just the fact that Boudica is one behind Confucius, but otherwise, because when she gets into play, you don't get anything. Um, I think I would rather still have Confucius, but yeah, Boudica is, yeah, they're all very very strong. These leaders. Then I think for me, when I look at these leaders, I don't have any strong feelings about these leaders being even close to these. For me, I would say like Cleopatra is kind of solid. I think Homer is kind of solid. And I think Ashoka is very strong, but only on half of the time, as in when you're on third or fourth player. Although I feel like you could also make this work maybe in on I had this like on first player the other day, and it was kind of just gaming as well. Like again, 2 resources per turn is just tier one or H1 leader uh, amount of resources, and I don't find it too hard. People also complaining about corruption. I don't think it's so hard. I think it's very nice to have one food because the irrigation is a bit annoying to play, and then you have people going for military, and you can just get out 1 or 2 extra military, and you don't have to be worried. And that's also a nice way to get out of corruption. And then you also are never going to be worried about being weakest, and it's just a very nice threshold because you're also not really going to go into the second unhappy worker. It's just going to be at the end of H1 you have to get some happy faces, but before that you can kind of just do what everyone else is doing but stronger. And then yeah, there's a the nice thing about these leaders is they don't demand you to rush into replacing them, right? So it's very consistent. You can keep them around, they will still do their job. You can go for a more transactional or what did I say before? Yeah, basically when you switch ages, you get a nice benefit. Uh, transitional leader, basically, yeah. Like a good transitional leader means that you get a lot of value in the few turns, and then their value is like gone, right? Like something like, I mean, Alexander the Great is kind of like a transitional leader where you get one-time value, and then you want to get out of him. But being pressured into getting out of or getting a new leader obviously gives you less flexibility and also makes you just in general lose resources because you're gonna take suboptimal leaders because they're gonna be better because you just need something. So I think there's a lot of value into having these leaders that you can just keep around for a long time. Homer and Cleopatra also just nice value in 4 players. Your wonder is gonna get finished very quickly. You're gonna build some military as well. So usually, like maybe when Homer leaves play, you can definitely get one more military out. Very often, maybe two. So you can get like 2 rocks and then a happy face. Of course, it do cost another civil action, but yeah, the one happy face always plays early. You can like even yeah, the happy face just early makes you able to put another worker somewhere. Like very early worker, you have extra. It's a nice one for the fourth mine, you know. Just put a fourth mine because you have a randomly free guy, and then it just kind of gives you a lot of value already just by doing that. Um, Cleopatra kind of similarly is just nice amount of value, but it's obvious like these guys make like I think again science is better than rocks. These ones just kind of make one science or better, and this guy or this girl makes you usually one rock, but there's definitely a downside where sometimes you skip a turn. But the nice thing about Cleopatra is turn one, you can go into urban building right away, making basically the first rock into a science already. So then they're just like similar to Confucius and Boudica. So that's already nice. And then maybe turn two, you make the wonder one step. Hopefully, because in 4 players, yeah, there's more people that can see impact, so you can actually have this um, or you get not impacts, but yeah, basically the HA events where you get some extra stone, so you can actually build your mine plus a step of your wonder, and then the turn afterwards you maybe finish your wonder with 2 steps, depending on how many steps it has. But it's can be slightly inconvenient, but usually you're good for around 3 turns, and then maybe you get alchemy, which I very very highly recommend in general, to just take it for 2 civil actions, like even stronger than iron in my opinion in 4 players. So you can go into iron. You can make a second wonder. So it's yeah, it's about 1 rock. Of course, the nice thing is yeah, you get it in play and you get it right away compared to Boudica, not the case. But it's not so easy to keep around. But you're gonna be fine for like 3 turns, maybe. Yeah. Then by then, I usually would like to have an alchemy or maybe a second wonder. So yeah, a little bit less than 1 rock a turn, maybe let's say 0.75. Meanwhile, this is like 1.2. This is maybe 1.2. This is maybe 1.2. I think one science might be like 1.2 rock. It doesn't really matter if it's true or not. It's just like sort of how I think about it. It's like slightly more. It doesn't matter if it's like 1.3 or 1.1 or 1.2 or I think science is a little bit better. That's why I also think alchemy is a little bit better than iron, of course. Um, yeah. So yeah, Ashoka, I think very quickly you can get into one rock already, and then it's already better than Cleopatra. And then you can get one food also pretty quickly, and you can keep him around. So I feel like Ashoka is very strong, and probably can be stronger than these even though yeah, so this is gonna be a little bit of the issue, right? Ashoka, it's hard to play on the first seed and second seed, so I guess that makes him a little bit worse. And if you really go quickly into another leader, then of course Ashoka loses value. But Ashoka is so strong that even if you want to go into another leader, you can just wait because Ashoka will give you more value, and then like you will not go behind anyone else by having Ashoka in the game, and then you can just pick the perfect leader or just one of the strongest leaders. So it's like, yeah, I think that definitely makes up for the fact that you would lose value if you replace him quickly. But I feel like there's a big gap here, like 1.2 to like 1.8 or something. So I actually don't know if anything should be an A. Actually, Aristotle is also a little bit same here. I think you don't get one per turn, but you get maybe like also a little bit same as Ashoka. If you're on the third or fourth player, then it's easier to get things from the row already in turn. What is it? 3, I guess. Turn 1, you get the leader, and then turn 2 starts moving. Already turn 2? No, right? I guess, yeah, maybe. Yeah, already turn 2, huh? Yeah, so you can get like the turn 2 already. Right, yeah, yeah. Same with Ashoka. You can get something turn 2. You can get an attack. But yeah, it's a bit similar. This guy, if you get it on third or fourth place, a bit easier to take, and then also don't really want to get rid of it very quickly or you lose a lot of value. So but you can actually wait a bit with it because it's like strong enough, kind of like Confucius. Aristotle is just basically delayed, maybe but two two turns, but then he will keep like one per turn after that basically. So it's about maybe 0.8 as well, but that's at least it's science, so it's kind of nice, a little bit better. So I think they're not strong enough to go A tier. This would be basically one per turn. This is like 1.0.8. This is like 1.2, and then we go to C tier. I think maybe Hippocrates would be a nice one here, and maybe that's already it. This is also very difficult to really give value to. The yellow token is also someone that you kind of need to get rid of as fast as possible. You can get rid of it after 2 turns already. I mean, H1 is about from turn 2 to turn 7 or something. So that means you're there for around 7 turns, and you can keep this around sort of happily for 3 tokens, I guess. Even though the third token doesn't do that much, can give you like half an happy face basically at the in the end game, which you usually don't care too much about, but it's something I guess. But so you put him here, turn 2, um, then you get one turn 3, one turn 4, and then you're not super sad if you get rid of if you still have him turn 5. So on turn 5 you want to get rid of him. So if you really don't get anything, then would have turn 6, 7, 8, something like that. Maybe like 3 turns where you don't get any value, but it's like enough time where you can usually find something reasonable. Maybe not the perfect, but something reasonable. So it's like okay, and then you got your one yellow token, and yellow tokens are powerful. I mean, yellow token is basically like once you're once you're further than the first 2 parts, you get like per 2 yellow tokens, you get one happy face. So this already have happy face at that point. Mm. And for every 4 tokens, you go one consumption. So you get like basically 0.25 uh, food per turn, but you also have to pay a food extra per 4 tokens that you miss, right? So you for every 4 yellow tokens, you pay an extra food for the worker, but you also get an extra consumption. And then for every 4, you also have 2 happy faces. So in total, that would be, let's say you have enough food to make one worker per turn. That would mean that for every 4 tokens, you get basically you lose 2 food, or you gain 2 food depending on per turn, and 2 happy faces. So one token would be have a food per turn and have a happy face is how I would see it. But of course, that is only at turn 8 that starts, and then you get half a food and have a happy face in a way. Which, yeah, I don't know. I have it's rough to really, but yeah, if you really just can get rid of this guy and he's only been there for like 2 turns, then of course it's quite nice value, even though it doesn't do that much and only later. For only 2 turns of a HA guy, it's pretty nice. Uh, so you probably depends a bit on your how many H1 leaders you can take pretty early on. Um, so yeah. So yeah, I think that's the thing. Like normally you think like, oh yeah, HHA, you get a lot of value from these guys, and you're like, oh, you don't really get a lot of value, but you only if you only keep this guy in play for like 2 turns, then you actually do get a nice value, right? So that's like it's very unintuitive. This guy, I think it's delayed value, a little bit abstract value with the yellow token, and then yeah, you're not really feeling the impact at all. There's some nice tokens that you can see, but yeah, I think I think he's okay probably, but I would rather have this. It's more flexible. You can delay your guys a little bit longer without feeling like the need to really go fast into something else. Otherwise, you don't have value. Get some delayed value. Yeah, and then of course, end of H2, you also get another one, but it's already quite late into the game, but it's still relevant for sure. Yeah, so that is nice. Yeah, it's still nice. I mean, I'm sure most of you know that in H3 you definitely want still a lot of dudes, and if you have two yellow tokens in H3, that definitely makes the difference pretty easily to not dip into the very expensive 7 cost guy. So if you go into there, that is even right. You go to from 5 to 7, which not doesn't happen every game, but it happens relatively well. You get pretty close to it. So if you get some yellow tokens from Hippocrates or or uh, Wander or Territory, then doesn't really happen. But you also don't want it to happen really. So yeah, it's nice. I think it's fine. Yeah, it's like the first I'm trying to think about a little bit deeper. I think probably C is all right. Maybe Alexander is doing similarly. If I pick Alexander, I usually just get rid of him right away so that you can get the food basically right away. Similarly with the Roman roads, where you uh, just don't go into consumption quite yet, and you have to pay only 2 food for your worker instead of 3 food. Also, I don't really usually use the strength. Mm, maybe well, I don't really have these things so often. That's like the problem, right? If it's D tier, you don't really pick it, so you don't know maybe the perfect way to play it. But yeah, they have one other token, but it also costs you an extra action, right? Compared to Hippocrates, and you kind of just want to get rid of both and take something else immediately anyway. But then yeah, this basically gives you maybe like 2 extra food compared to this because you're gonna go into the same consumption in the full H1. Uh, but that already costs an extra action, so that is already 1 action for 2 food, which is already kind of a normal deal. Um, so in the end, Hippocrates should just be better, kind of always almost, unless you somehow can use the strength against some guys, which haven't really seen anyone really do that except for in low level games where everyone does this. They take Alexander, and it can actually be quite annoying as well. It's like they make like 3 warriors, they have like 6 strength. I mean, it's very annoying. It's probably not good, but it's very annoying to play against. But on higher levels, I haven't really seen it. I think, yeah, similarly, Julius Caesar, Sun Tzu, they don't actually benefit your economy. And then Moses, also similarly, well, not similar. It's not similarly, but I for me these are kind of all kind of crap. Maybe I think Moses something like this. I don't know. For me, Sun Tzu, I don't I even if I okay. Let's slow down a little bit. So Alexander, I think we talked about enough. You just get 2 food and you get a 1 token quickly. Then you're just really rushing into the H1 leader. You lose value by picking a suboptimal leader, and yeah, it's annoying. You don't get a lot of value. Um, then let's say Moses. If we compare again the resources, of course, um, if you don't have irrigation, which you probably don't do because Moses already poops out a lot of food or a lot of population anyway, you can basically go +1 on your food, and you need 3 food normally pretty quickly. Of course, the first 2 not, but after that you do like 1. So the first 2 is maybe it's like 1 per turn, and then you get um 1 per 2 turns because you get like 1 food every turn, and now with most you need 2 food, and yeah, that just means that every 2 turns you can get 1 food if you don't get extra food from irrigation or regality or something like that. Um, so, and then the food is also kind of, or the population is kind of difficult to use, you're just gonna go into consumption early, or you have corruption problems. So there's a yeah, this food is just not very useful, and you also don't get one food. You get like maybe 0.75 at most. So basically 1, 1, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. Then you also need some happy faces. Um, and then there's also some bad synergy with some things like Barbarossa, where you want to stock up your food. And Barbarossa's probably the strongest H1 leader, maybe. I'll have to think about it, but yeah, it's already kind of annoying. So there's just a lot of bad things, and even if there's no bad things, somehow you have happy faces, and you can use the workers. He still just only gives you about maybe zero point 0.7 ish food per turn, which food should be a little bit less useful than rocks. And we already said that this is doing like maybe zero point 0.8. So this is like zero point 0.8, and this is like point, yeah, zero point 0.7, maybe even less. And then that's not even taking account the annoyingness of the corruption and the happy faces, and not using your population efficiently. I guess you get some food from HA events. Most, yeah. There's like two food. There's one where you can pick two food. There's also one where you can cost one -1. Yeah, so maybe you do get little bit more, but yeah, again, lot of annoying things, and definitely never gonna get one per turn on average. And if you do, you cannot use the population, so not good enough. Probably, yeah, maybe like 1 point or 0.7 ish. This is like 0.8, but better because not food, and this is like 1.2, and this is something special. And then these guys, you have Caesar and Sun Tzu. Let's put them next to each other for a second. They're both strength, and you have to get something out of them. And how do you get something out of them? Probably by winning some strength events, uh, which you cannot really rely upon. If you play this, you also other people will not seed, which is very annoying. And then you get this, yeah, Caesar. You put in all your events. You at least you know what your events are. But if you really put in all these events, you don't really have a choice what you put in. So can't really just put in good events. I mean, and then yeah, if you're playing good players, they won't see them. Then you, by the time you're actually can play the Caesar action, politics action, then you already kind of want to get into another uh, eh, into another leader, and also the other guys have just been benefiting. Like if you take like a Hammurabi, which quote unquote Caesar counters Hammurabi, but you can just get so much value from Hammurabi that maybe with the extra value you can build like an extra knight, and then yeah, you're just like stronger as well. It's a stupid Hammurabi. Um, so yeah, I don't. It's very hard to get value out of it. If you get value out of it, you're probably gonna be like sort of equal to someone. Like maybe you win one strength event against the Hammurabi or the Confucius or something. Of course, Confucius, yeah. So Caesar is like nice against Confucius because Confucius has to uh, put events in. But yeah, so maybe you steal some science or like you steal some rocks with the strength event. Um, but you're gonna be maybe better than the Confucius at that point, but you're gonna be equal to two others, which I mean is would be positive, would be like fine outcome, but uh, that's like sort of like when you think things are going well by winning a strength event, then you're only about equal to the other members, to your opponents. Like even winning one and you get like 3 stone, right, from one of those things. Meanwhile, Boudica had already given 3 science, and it's just Buriga's just ahead, or Confucius gave three signs already ahead from your three stone. So yeah, very hard to get ahead, I think, in my opinion. But I also haven't really played these too many times because I think they're bad. This one is relatively straightforward though. This is also relatively straightforward, although maybe you can do something with the strength, which I don't really know. And Sun Tzu for me is the biggest noob. I I've seen people pick this enough times, and every time I try to pay attention what they're doing with it, of course you can't really see some things. I think what the best thing that Sun Tzu does is it draws you open borders agreement, like twice as likely, kind of. At the same time, I don't think other people will usually, unless they're like Caesar, they will give you open border agreement. So the benefit of being able to draw open borders agreement, which is of course very strong, uh, already gets diminished a lot by no one actually giving you the open borders agreement because they're afraid of your strength. So I don't even think that's like a advantage. Then you can draw a lot of colony cards, but you can't keep them in hand because you only have two military actions. So you can't actually really push colonies and do anything with that. So then you can get this tactic. So basically, Sun Tzu, you see knights, and you take a tactic with the knight, and then you can get quite strong. But again, other people will have so many extra resources that they can just play like I don't know, like a warfare or something random. Like they get five science, you get your +1, you get the warfare, you get the +1. Then Sun Tzu gets out of the game, and everyone just copies your freaking tactic. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I never see Sun Tzu do anything. I mean, everyone goes into their H1 leader, and everyone just copies their tactic, or I don't know, like, okay, wow, they have +1, okay, but I have like five science, like I have like almost a code of law. Meanwhile, they're running around with +1, and I don't even know, like, what, yeah. I don't, maybe I just don't understand this hero, but I can't even really think of a great way to use this effectively. It's so hard. I mean, yeah, it's so hard. Seems very hard. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. That took a little bit longer than I wanted, kind of, but I guess we'll try to finish. Um, but yeah, I think the main thing I also wanted to show you is kind of how I think about trying to measure up. So basically, what I think is like, yeah, I mean, I already talked about it, but even something like political actions, you can just translate into resources. You need to try to make everything into numbers, right? If you want to be able to compare them in an objective manner. So even like something like this, it's like, okay, but what does this actually translate into tangibly into the game, right? This one it's like, what is the best thing that you can do with this? You draw some extra cards. So again, you can maybe get open border, which can give you some value. But in the end, it's maybe like, oh, you can win one strength event where you normally wouldn't have, which gives you an additional three rocks over how many turns? Maybe like 4 turns. So you get like, if that's really the case, then that's like the good case, I would say, because you don't really have any. Yeah, like it's still you're not just automatically gonna win the strength event for one, and for two, um, you might also not draw them. So but I think yeah, I think basically Julius Caesar is like a better Sun Tzu. Like you kind of do the same thing, but you actually draw extra cards, and you can actually hold the cards, so you can actually seed uh some colony and actually bid for them pretty nicely. Mm. You can actually play your aggression uh, more easily. I feel like because you can actually. Hmm, I don't know why. Maybe the aggression is not true, but anyway. Yeah, I mean you can play two aggressions sometimes, which but it's a little bit rare, I think maybe. But yeah. try to think like, okay, what's like a good case, what's a normal case, and then maybe the good case like three rocks, and you take away some stuff as well, right? The maybe minus two rocks on someone else and a civil action. This is like the border dispute thing. Um, so then you're like, okay, maybe three rocks in four turns. That's 0.75. That would be already be B tier, but I think that's like the good case maybe. Maybe it's not so bad. Yeah, this is also why you theory craft a bit, and then you actually look in the game. It's like, oh, how often do I actually get an extra strength event in the deck by, or just in general, how many more times do I actually get stronger? How many times do I actually um, win a strength event that I otherwise wouldn't have? Because like I said, if no one else pushes, it's gonna be take like four turns before you get actually just the events through. So yeah, I don't think that the three rocks average is actually is true, and that would also only be 0.75. Uh, but you do get some other yeah, you get some military action. So uh, yeah, maybe can do something better than I thought, maybe, but maybe I just overlooking that you can actually win the strength defense, which I think is true. Because I think people just don't push and you don't actually win that much. Because by the time you're actually looking at the events, Caesar's already swapped out, or so then the only thing you get is like you know what is in there, and you have a little bit more chances to draw with your military action some tactics and things. All right. Let's move on, and hopefully this can go a bit quicker because now we kind of know what we're looking for. Pyramids S tier is just like civil action. I think we already talked enough about it. It's like extremely strong. So and then there's similarly one science return extremely strong. I think the extra civil card and extra military card. Also, actually, I underrated that part of it. I thought, okay, that's one science already very nice. One science, one thing is not that far off. And then, okay, I mean, this is a bit better for sure, but there's also one culture, so that would also not be that far off. But then this actually gets the one civil action and military card. I mean, one extra military card just makes you able to hold a tactic, a colony card. Some it's very nice, and then or also just being able to defend. Wait, can you actually defend with? I don't think you can defend with. Oh, I never really thought about that because you can only defend with the amount of military actions you have, right? So even though you have four in your hand, if you have three military actions, you can only defend with three cards. I haven't really been in that situation, but also the extra civil card. If you're on four actions, you can keep five cards. It's nice. It's actually it's not negligible this effect for sure, which I don't know, maybe I underestimated a little bit. So I think these are, and I think science is so strong and important and efficient, flexible, but also this similarly like civil action is just as important and flexible and everything. So, but yeah, if you think about it, after six turns, you can take a code of law, and then you can get the pyramid on your own. That would be something. But of course, having this pyramid running for six turns already is nice. But of course, after you take the code of law, this thing will keep running. So yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe the more I play, I actually maybe like it's I don't know. I think probably pyramid's still strongest, but yeah, the library is really insane. Of course, the four is a little bit awkward sometimes, right? But I don't really actually find it that awkward in four players. Maybe it's more of a two-player thing or something. I don't know. But in four players, you kind of just get an event that gives you two stone, and then you just use it, or get the engineer genius or something, or just get four stone in your hand. Like it's not that difficult. Yeah, super strong. Talking about super strong, I mean, I think Roman roads is super strong. Like it's crazy, no? It's very easy to make. Well, I mean, okay, it takes a lot of military action or civil actions, but of course, takes one rock less. You just kind of just do it kind of early when instead of taking some. HA card maybe, even, and then you just finish it quickly. You get this thing out. This thing produces some extra food already. One blue token is just very useful as well. One is just kind of the perfect amount where sometimes you're in an awkward spot. You would need to make like a warrior to get out of corruption, or just yeah, have some food laying around that you don't really want to use. You can keep out of consumption even longer because of the blue token and because of the yellow token. So and then it just produces a nice rock. Sure, it's less than this, but this and this combined is it's definitely not nothing. This is a lot. And then it produces one science in H2, which is just perfect. It's similar to library, of course, but yeah, science, super sick. It's kind of exactly what you need. And then in H3, two culture should be stronger than one rock or one science at that point, probably. Maybe it's about equal if you average it out to the whole thing. I'm not really sure, but definitely not. It shouldn't be less. So a very nice package. I think it can be a little bit awkward with the thing, but this also can be a little bit awkward here. But yeah, this yellow token is worth gold, and the extra rocks is just perfect. The extra +1 rock is just always very useful. Yeah, this is a it's extremely nice package. I think it's S tier. And then I like Stonehenge. Stonehenge is just like pyramid at home. You make the Stonehenge. It costs one more civil action. Then it costs you another civil action to take the code of law, maybe two, and or a monarchy. But yeah, you can just use it, right? Get the monarchy, get the code of law, and then that will be your pyramid. But for those extra actions, you got a nice happy face, and you got a nice uh, culture. So I don't know. It's kind of feels like pyramid at home and pretty consistent. It's like, oh, sometimes you're like, oh, I need to get into knights early, but I want to make iron. Oh, Stonehenge is your friend. You can make knights or iron and still get into, still have enough science for the other thing. And add heavy phase is super useful. And yeah, I think it's just super strong. It's super strong. Then I would say these are all things that I'm not very happy to see. These are things I'm happy to see. I think I would say Colossus is reasonably strong in 4 players. Obviously, the more players, the more uh, cards, uh, colonies, and also the more the even the military draw maybe. I feel like might be even stronger in 4 players because I mean for me I go for a lot of military in 4 players. Yeah, it's just very nice to increase your odds. One thing I haven't really liked, I actually liked it in B tier before and liked it quite a bit, but now that I've again playing a bit more higher level, similarly to like Caesar, Sun Tzu, people just not really gonna. Actually, no, I like Sun Tzu the least. So wait, what? People are not really gonna push, and that's gonna lose a lot of value on your Colossus. Funnily enough, the Colossus would be maybe weaker if it has two colonization because then no one is gonna push anything. But with one, they're like, okay, I can still win. So I'll just push some things. That's actually kind of funny. I never really thought about that, but I mean, yeah. So now I'm feeling maybe like C tier because people are just not gonna push. You're gonna lose out on a lot of value from the strength. Though it will still be nice. Still also only 2 actions. And yeah, the military cards are definitely very, 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 very nice. Maybe just more important than this part, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that's true, but yeah, no, that is this is still better. But it's definitely not a gimmick part. It's very strong. Get something at the early stages so you know exactly what tech you want, what kind of like if you draw a war in H3, you already know like, oh, okay, that's something I can do, or get draw a tactic. It's super super cool. And then I think Hanging Gardens, feel kind of similar to Colossus, maybe even slightly stronger. I think this is a bit underrated. Although I'm now putting it at C. Maybe I put it at B. Just to no, I think Hangar is quite nice. I actually like it at B. I think yeah, I would put Colossus in B before, but I have not been liking it as much in these higher level games. So, but Hanging Gardens, on the other hand, I've been getting more and more and more and more impressed. Like the two happy phases is beautiful, right? At the end of H1, you finish this, you get two happy phases. You can also finish it a little bit earlier, but yeah, the two happy phases always go in. You really, like, it's really inefficient to go into like take a bread and circuses one military or not well, one civil action, right? At least, and then you have to play it. Then you make a worker. Then you put the worker. That's already a full a whole turn, and it costs that's a full turn. Costs also three science. It costs food. It costs stone. So all of that now we don't need to do. Of course, you do get one strength if it's bad in circuses, and there's some things. But yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you need to do to get some happy phases around. I mean, you can do this. I get strength pushed a lot on higher level now, where people just go 10 strength, having the one or even two, yeah, basically just two extra population to put into military. This is just a military uh blessing. Yeah. It looks like it's I don't know what it looks like. It looks like it's very passive or something, but it's actually like you can go kind of ham on the military, like Boudica with hanging gardens. Whenever you're weak, you just build another guy and bom bom bom. Quite nice. Yeah. I mean, there's something about the the thing of time where it gets destroyed in H2, but I mean, it can also be quite late before it gets used, and then also, of course, you can draw it, or this doesn't get drawn, or gets late, and then after the two happy phases, you still need more happy phases, right? But then you can actually get the efficient ones, which are like three happy phases or more. Usually, yeah, like then you take one of the three ones. Um, and then you can do like double three plus two would be eight, for example. But yeah, then if your hanging guards get destroyed, okay, then you make one more urban building with that. I don't know. I feel like so far I haven't really got owned by it. I don't know. Like you probably remember it very well if you get owned by it. So I don't know if there's like a negative bias on this. Because whenever hanging guards just play it and it just does its thing and you don't really notice it because it's just some happy phase and some things and then once it gets destroyed once and owns you once in like 20 games, then suddenly you're like, oh, this is like the worst thing ever. But I haven't taken it enough that I have had that problem. But uh, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, that you have that problem. I mean, yeah, like I said, you can just take the urban building that gives you some happy phases, right? I mean, you kind of need it anyway. So really, how difficult is it? I don't know. So maybe this will with more with playing with this more. I'm curious what this will be in like 100 games. Acropolis, obviously, there's a lot of benefits that are not really applicable in two players. Sorry, in four players that are applicable in two players. The government thing is like nine. I mean, one strength. I mean, they only cost five, so it's kind of difficult to be such a harsh critic on the Acropolis. One strength, one thing. The change of government. If you really go into a monarchy, yeah, I mean, you don't want to make urban buildings as a thing with four players. You make like maybe one bread and circuses. If you get a free religion, okay, but otherwise not. And then uh, two labs, so you get like three discounts maybe. Yeah, it's just not a lot. Yeah, it's just not a lot. Yeah. And then okay, Colosseum, I think, is stronger than Acropolis. Colosseum actually makes you not get owned by the frequently um the yeah the the H2 government with the two military actions, Republic, which is quite nice. Of course, the happy face is nice, but it's like it doesn't do that much. It gives you like one science discount, and I mean the open borders. If you get it, then the Colosseum is kind of useless. But people also like to give the Colosseum the open borders because they get the least amount of benefits. So it's like kind of funny how those things kind of work. Like if they're bad with open borders, you get more open borders. So they're like good with open borders? Question mark. Um, But yeah, even late game in H3, you can get a little bit discount through. Yeah, it's the late value. I think. I mean, the happy face is nice. This is just yeah, okay. You get a little bit of culture, but I mean, yeah, I mean, this is like one of the hardest thing for me to get a grasp on. It's actually one military action. Similarly with Hammurabi losing one. I think in H2 it's very nice to have extra military action. Also in H3 it's kind of hard to get to have enough, even with the constitutional monarchy, and they have like only one strategy. Like even with the constitutional monarchy, going to five is quite nice still to be able to make like two guys and play a war, or two guys and still draw three. So, but the fact that it doesn't do that much in H1 is just a bit annoying, I would say. But I don't hate it so much. But I mean, I mean, it's C. I don't hate this. Like, I'm not so upset. I'm very, very happy with these. And then this, I think, is very solid. And I think this is like fine, good. These are like fine. And this, I know so far, I almost want to just skip over this. Just try to get a H1 wonder, or really just skip the wonder and see if I can get one of the high rolls from this instead of just taking one, like just waiting if there's more wonders coming in, basically. Um, yeah, military action. There's of course also some leaders and stuff to keep in mind, like some Barbarossa would very much enjoy the Colosseum, things like that. But yeah, I think that's nice. I am happy with it. It's very funny that there's like nothing in A tier, but I also feel like that's just true. I'm not gonna just arbitrary or like change. Oh, I hope I had the thing in. I just went up and down a little bit. I hope the screen was capturing it all right. That would be a bit sad if it wasn't the case after 1 hour. But it has a lot of very strong things, and then some medium things which are fine. I mean, B is still pretty cool, and then there's also quite a few sad things, and not a lot in between. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, got something out of it, and I'll get the H1 tier list coming soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.